Welcome to the channel. This is a Mastermind Book Club. Tonight we're reviewing a very important book by Neville Goddard. It is read by Josiah Brent back in 1981, and this book was published in the 1940s. Very, very powerful book. What's the name of the book? Your Faith is Your Fortune. Did you know that your faith is your fortune? If you didn't know, maybe it's time you listen to this book. Tonight, a lot of the members that are present here will go over some of the details that are most important to them that stood out. We can't go over the whole book because the whole book is very powerful, but I always like to give an opportunity to other people to go over one or two important things that stood out to them. And then after that, we might extend it, but it goes beyond the recording time. So here we go. Anyone want to review any part of this book that is listening here with us today? Who would like to go first?
Martha, would you like to go first?
Actually, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I just coming back to the city.
Okay.
I was listening a little bit, but really, I didn't have the chance to go into the book.
Got it. It's okay. It's fine. We're good. So, Reg, it's up to you and me. And Martha, we appreciate that.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you. Well, what I'll say is really everything comes down to more than anything else is your level of consciousness of a thing. And specifically as relates to this is realizing that you are God, you are the power, you are whatever it is that you say, but based on the consciousness that you have of that thing. So
Yes.
meaning it's not about how you feel about it. It's not about what you think about it. It's not about what you do with it. It's not about what you think of somebody else, whatever. It's really about what you know to be based on a consciousness, which is basically absorbing and becoming and filling that thing, which says that you're this infinite source, this infinite power, this infinite thing that has the ability and the power and the tools to create and do anything that you say. And that's a very powerful place to be, because what happens here is that it doesn't matter, like I said, the other things that are going on around you, other conditions, environment, what someone has as far as an opinion, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is how you have what type of realization you have of self that basically aligns you with the source, that aligns you with God, that says that you are that thing, that you can do these things that I've done and more, as has been said by Jesus Christ himself. So when you are in that place, that's a very, 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 very high place, because there's nothing that can take you down. There's nothing that can phase you. There's nothing that can remove you and say, you're less than. And when you realize that, it's a glorious place. It's an amazing place, because there is so much that can come out of that. So once you come into that realization, it's really about what is it that you want to accomplish, and what can you accomplish? Well, everything, because there's nothing that you cannot accomplish. As I stated, these things that I've done, you can do these things and greater. That's saying that there's nothing that you cannot do. You can do anything. And so it's a matter for you to figure out what it is that you want to do in terms of what is it that you desire, what kind of life do you want to design for yourself, what is it that you want to create, who do you want to affect in the way that you want to affect them. And all those things are totally within the realm of your realization and totally within the realm of your circumference if you just take on that understanding. So again, not even to be in a place of how you feel, because feelings mean nothing, not in the place of what you sense, not in the place of what anyone else is saying about your opinions and otherwise. None of that factors into this, because it's all about your consciousness. So you can step into that place as long as you step into a level of understanding and realization that says, I am this thing. And when you become that thing, or when you realize that thing, or when you step into that energy and you absorb that place, there's so much that comes out of that you get to decide. So that's for you to really come to that place of realization. And there's no one that can stop you from that. So I would say, just understanding that is like, it's a really great thing that we have at our disposal, just in terms of our consciousness, because through that, with imagination, with beyond thought, that is something that is like an ultimate power. And with that, as you come into that place, it's like all the other things I mentioned in terms of the senses, in terms of thoughts, in terms of opinion, in terms of circumstances, environment, conditions. None of that has any bearing on it, because all of what you are is all of what you realize in terms of that consciousness, and the consciousness is a oneness with God Himself. So that is like the Most High. So you can step into that Most High, and then you can do and create anything that you say you want to do and create. And then as you go into that place, all other things will need to can necessarily fall behind or come into a consciousness with you. So like as you come into that place, if there's feelings that you had prior that said that you were less than, or said that you couldn't do such and such, now if you gain the consciousness of that thing that says you can do something, feelings will be swept aside, and ultimately the feelings would have to come under where you are, which is to say, I now believe that I'm capable of this thing. I now believe I am this God force, that I'm its infinite being. And now the feelings would have to come around to that, because you are now exhibiting all of that, which says that you are this greatness. And now you can just go ahead and do those things, as I said, that you decide that you want to do. So I think just understanding that is really a powerful thing. And if we can all kind of get to that place, there's nothing that we cannot accomplish. There's nothing that we cannot do. And so if more of us can get there, there's no telling what we can do as individuals, and no telling what we can do collectively. So for me, it's like realizing that. I mean, for me, it's just basically doing what I can to get to that place, as much as it may take time, effort, and belief, or whatever it may take. But really, more importantly, to step into a consciousness place, so that's most important. And then if more of us can do that, we can combine our efforts and our powers to basically do and have and be and create anything that it is that we want to do, or create and be.
Correct. Thank you, Reg. That is a reality, that you can create anything that you want to do or be. That is a reality. And Reg, I thank you for that brief summary. That is very powerful. And I want to add to that, if you don't mind,
Yes,
there's a
sir.
there's a certain passage that I'm sharing on the screen right now, that one of the members that is in the mastermind group shared, and I didn't ask if they wanted to be known, but Jeannie Batroni shared this with us. Hosea 4:6. This is from the Bible, the New International Version. My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. Isn't that amazing? My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. This is Hosea writing to, I don't know who, but uh, it could be his or her diary or recollection of the time. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also reject you as my priests. Because you have ignored the law of your God, I also will ignore your children. That's how deep this goes. Meaning, if we're not successful, it's because someone in our line, sorry for the dog, uh, was not either successful, lacked knowledge, didn't pursue knowledge, was not interested in becoming successful, just to name a few, or was just too comfortable or feared making any move beyond their status in life. Most probably not being rich, most probably. Because when you get to a specific status, then you invest in certain channels to make certain that it also moves within your ancestry in one way or another, right? That is one way to look at this book. But this is also where this leads to the last chapter of this book. I don't know if anyone remembers, but it's called A Formula for Victory. Now, every place that the sole of your heart shall tread upon, that have I given unto you. This is through Joshua 1:3 of the Bible again. And I believe it's the same scripture area in the Old Testament. The majority of people are familiar with the story of Joshua capturing the city of Jericho. I'm not too familiar with it. I'm no historian, and I probably did read it, but maybe one of you that's listening here has read it. What they do not know is that this story is the perfect formula for victory under any circumstances and against all odds. The book of Joshua further records that instead of fighting this giant problem of the wall, what did he do? Joshua employed the services of the harlot Rahab and sent her as a spy into the city. As Rahab entered her house, which stood in the midst of the city, Joshua, who was securely barred by the impassable walls of Jericho, blew on his trumpet 7 times. At the seventh blast, the walls crumbled, and Joshua entered the city victoriously. I don't know the truth about this story, but I do know that something happened that made it easier for Joshua to pass and take on the city. Now, what can be learned from this story here from the Bible? Well, to those who don't have any initiatives, then it doesn't mean much. But to those who see it on a psychological basis, rather than just a historical record, it says a lot. If we would follow the example of Joshua, our victory would be similarly simple. Joshua symbolizes to you, the reader, your present state. The city of Jericho symbolizes your desire or defined objective. The walls of Jericho symbolize the obstacles between you and the realization of your objectives. Does this make sense, or am I losing you here?
No, it makes sense.
The walls of Jericho symbolize the obstacles between you and the realization of your objectives. The foot symbolizes the understanding. Placing the sole of the foot upon a definite place indicates fixing a definite psychological state. What does this mean here? These two sentences. Let me just share my screen into this so you can see here, because I'm reading it from the actual passage. It's right here. I'm going to highlight it right here. Those are the two sentences I just read. What do these two sentences mean? Very, very powerful, very insightful. We all have walls that we have to overcome. I'm in the process of trying to build a business. I'm also in the process of trying to do a marathon. I'm also in the process of continuing this mastermind book club, which I love and feel compelled to increase my knowledge, just as the passage on Hosea 4, chapter 4, sentence 6, I guess is what is known as, says. You know, the foot symbolizes the understanding. Placing the sole of the foot upon a definite place indicates fixing a definite psychological state. Sometimes we just want to run away. We don't want to face our fears. And that's what Joshua did. He faced his fears, right? And that's what happens. Rahab the spy is your ability to travel secretly or psychologically to any place in space. Consciousness knows no frontier. No one can stop you from dwelling psychologically at any point or in any state in time or space. I've mentioned this to you a few times. I know Reggie's been present, and I believe Martha has been present. The apartment that I'm in right now is a suite. It's an actual suite. We have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Before that, we had to sublet from someone. We had to sublet, and we were living in terrible conditions. But what did I do when I applied here? When I was on the waiting list to get in here, I drove by. I purposely drove by. Imagine myself parking right in front, across the street, and going inside to the 7th floor or above. And guess what? I live on the 7th floor. And I put myself at the foot of the wall that I was facing, at the foot of the wall. And I consciously didn't have any frontier. And that's what this is calling us to do. Your faith is your fortune. What are you doing to create that fortune? Now, Reggie hit it on the nose when he said it. Sometimes we think that working at all hours is going to give us the most effective methodical way to become successful. Is it? Perhaps. But then what happens to everything else? And there's no balance. So you've got to bring balance to your own life. And I've cut down some of the meat. I've hired more people, and I've told you all in this group is that the $10 an hour jobs, I've stopped doing them. I've started hiring people one by one, and I've had to fire people. And so far, I've hired the right person to replace those people, and I'm looking to hire someone else probably in August. Why? Because the more I hire, the closer I get to my goals, because I want to employ almost 400 people. And if I do that, then I'm on the path to assisting others create their means to ends, create my dreams a reality, because that's what this is all about. What's the first thing that you've got to do to do all of this? What's the first thing? Well, number one is that this last chapter, reveals the victorious formula as a modern mystic reveals it today. Let me just outline what's the first, second, and third thing that you have to do. Here they are, right there. I hope you can see that. If you need to zoom in, you can zoom in. First, define your objective, not the manner of obtaining it, but your objective, pure and simple. Know exactly what it is you desire so that you have a clear mental picture of it. Now, in some of my meditations, I call people to think about their 3 top goals. I have 2 top goals with my family and 1 for personal business so far. And then I have other smaller goals, but those are the 3. They lead on to the others. And I know that Reggie has talked about them. I don't remember if Martha's talked about them then, but it's very important. Secondly, take your attention away from the obstacles which separate you from your objective and place your thought on the objective itself. Get out there. If you want a car, if you want the latest car, if you want a house, if you want money, then you've got to go to places where money is being talked about, is being utilized, where places where you expect to go when you have it. I love to travel, and I do it all the time. I'm traveling next week. Wish I could take you with me. Maybe I can't do it now, but soon. Thirdly, close your eyes and feel that you are already in the city or state that you would capture. Remain within this psychological state until you get a conscious reaction of complete satisfaction in this victory. Then, by simply opening your eyes, return to your former conscious state. Is this crazy? Can anybody tell me? Is this crazy? No, it's not crazy.
No.
It's not crazy. However, this book states, Neville Goddard's book states, no one can be shown. You've got to get there yourself. In other words, you can take a horse to water, but he's got to be able to have the ability to drink it. He's got to be able to have the ability to reach over and gulp it the way that they do. There's a lot of people in need out there to be healthier, to get out of debt, to have better communications in their relationships, family, kids, spouse, friends, business. You can only be shown, but then you've got to do the rest on your own from then there. Yeah, you can guide you. We can hold your hand, but you've got to do the big, big picture. Now, this last chapter is not everything about this book. It's not. But those 3 things that I just mentioned make it very, very, very powerful. Make it very powerful for you and me. Set yourself, stand still, and watch the salvation of the law with you. This refers to one thing. Realize that I am and that God is within you. And once you realize that, just know that the truth is God is more powerful than you. Yep. God is more powerful than me. But if you connect, if you make that connection, then all you have to do is realize your physical wanting of your objective. Have confidence, show love, compassion. See, what colors do you see? What sounds do you hear? Where do you see yourself? That's the bottom line. Does this crazy or does this make sense?
Makes sense.
Like 25 cents?
It makes an infinite amount of sense.
Thank you, Reg. Thank you, Martha. And welcome, Ty. Well, do you want to add anything in reference to this, Reg or Martha?
I mean, I hit a lot of points on this book.
Yes, you
But
did.
I think that whole point of, and I didn't state this, but then as you said it, I mean, the whole principle, the whole, underlying the book was the whole I amness.
Yes.
So I am is if you say I am, that is the thing that you basically take on in terms of form, in terms of thing, in terms of whatever, right? So I am is that which is you coming into creation of a thing. So you have to really understand that using that statement, and then you could say, I am that I am whatever, right? That's a very powerful statement. So when you use that, you can't use it lightly. You can't just be like haphazard with that, because that is your God power, just as much as just coming into the consciousness of it. So it's like having the consciousness of a thing and saying I am. So those two things along, and then using your imagination and believing and all that, but coming into the consciousness of a thing and then saying I am is like the thing that will allow you to manifest anything. Because there's, like I said, it's not about how you feel. It's not about what the outside says. It's not about what the odds show. It's not about what opinion says. It's not about anything else other than your be beyond your belief, but your consciousness, which is to say you embody that thing. It's like what you know, what you feel, what you say, what you do, everything is within that. And then you just state a statement like I am, and then like it just it happens. And then you also talked about how you can become that thing or do that thing or arrive at that thing by stepping at that point of where it happens, so that you take away the time element. So if you believe something that happened, like something that you think is going to happen in a year or whatever, these types of things is more about stepping into wherever that place is. So just remove the time and just say like, I am a billionaire, I am greatness, I am wonderful, I am whole, I am healthy, I am wealth. But wherever you thought that thing was supposed to happen in terms of a time space, you just don't even think about the time. You just step into the place, which is to say, become that thing in terms of the consciousness of it. And then, you'll eventually get there.
Thank you, Reg. And it's amazing what you just said hits upon these three lines, how we both, we didn't coordinate what we were going to say. And look what we have here. I'm going to say these three sentences backwards, and that's where we'll end the recording for tonight on this review of Your Faith is Your Fortune. Chapter 17 is about prayer. And prayer is the most wonderful experience man or woman can have. What things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you've received them and you'll have them. This is Mark chapter 11, verse 24. And then the first sentence here says, when thou prayest, enter into the closet, and when thou hast shut the door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Matthew chapter 6:6. So what Reggie just said pretty much focuses on what we were just talking about. If you connect with God and realize that God is I am, and I am is within you, within me, although God is greater than you, you are still a part of God.
Yeah.
And when was the last time that you took a moment out to think about what you want in life? That's where we'll end this program for tonight. This is the Mastermind Book Club. And until next week, when we're going to review another book by Neville Goddard, which was recommended by our members in this group that want to review a specific author, and Neville Goddard is an amazing author. Until next week, this is the Mastermind Book Club signing off. Have a great one.